And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're taking good care of yourselves and looking after your nutrition, as always, of course. But we're going to talk a little bit more in depth today on a few key topics. Brandon's going to give me a little bit of a grilling on a few topics here, which I'm looking forward to, and making sure that we can help you as much as possible on those as well. So I'll hand over to you to begin with, Brandon, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, perfect. So a couple of questions I wanted to ask is, obviously, look, carbs, I think lately have been getting, they get a pretty bad rap, cutting out every single carbohydrate in order to lose body fat. And then, good carbs versus bad carbs. And then kind of the difference between a good carb or a bad carb, if there is such a thing, mostly wholemeal or whole foods and processed carbohydrates. And then what kind of role fiber would play in that kind of relationship between them?
Yeah, without doubt. So I think if we just keep it nice and simple to begin with, so when it comes to carbs, all carbs can be placed on like a spectrum. So like you said, in a way, there's good carbs and bad carbs. I'll obviously investigate that a little bit with a bit more context in a second. But how carbs are categorized really is how fast they digest and how quickly they reach the bloodstream in the form of glucose, like the body's preferred method of fuel sources, essentially. So some carbs you eat and it takes quite a long time to digest, and then to the bloodstream, some of them you eat it and literally within 10 to 15 minutes it's in the bloodstream already, fully digested in the form of glucose. So this is basically called like a GI scale, so gastrointestinal scale, GI, glucose index, sorry, my mistake. So basically the rate of digestion is categorized in accordance to how fast it enters the bloodstream. So when it comes to, let's say, something that's much more higher in fiber basically slows down the rate of digestion. When the rate of digestion slows down, it basically, we place that on like the slower digesting part of the spectrum. And then something like, and maybe you've heard it before, but athletes like footballers and people like that, they just want to get a good quick dose of extra energy as soon as possible at half time, ready for 15 minutes time when the next half begins, for example. So obviously a little bit more sports nutrition.
So like simple sugars.
Yeah, simple sugars, absolutely. So the simple sugars could be like, some of them, the guys use like cheddar cakes or jelly babies or something like that. So not the best, like nutritionally speaking, they're not very nutrition dense at all. But at the same time, for the purpose of getting a really good, robust, quick dose of additional energy as soon as possible, it's fantastic for that. So it's not necessarily like good versus bad, but it's just that they're two different tools, if you like.
Yeah.
There's different ways and different benefits and different situations of using those different types of a complex carbohydrate or a slower digesting one. Those are the things that we could use to get like additional fiber, like you said, into our diets anyway. It can use because it's slower digesting, it keeps you fuller for longer. So we'd prefer to have that a little bit more often, more regularly throughout the week. So that you're kept fuller for longer and you don't be, reaching for the snacks every other day of the week and all that sort of thing. And when it comes to the other side of the spectrum, when it's like a lot faster digesting carbohydrates, if I have no problem with people having, let's say, 5-10% of their calorie intakes for the week dedicated to like stuff that they love, so they don't feel as though they're being restricted. So you work out how many calories you need for the week instead of per day, you just multiply it by 7 essentially. And then just shave off 10% of that and hold that aside for like, if it gets to a Friday and you just one of those people that just want to sit with the family and watch a bit of, I don't know, X Factor, I don't watch telly, whatever's on me.
Love Island.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, okay, so we'll go with Love Island. And let's say, you fancy a little bit of, I don't know, some fizzy pop and stuff, a little bit of chocolate or something. As long as we're not going overboard with that, and it's within, what you've worked out already, happy days. Even better, let's say if we could have, I know people that love, that's why I used jelly babies as an example earlier on. Absolutely love them. They can't go a week without them. And it's going to be probably too much of a thing to just completely cut that out of their diet. So it's okay, let's work with that and maybe bring the jelly babies to your session. So in your gym bag, once you've finished, for the purpose of you replenishing those energy stores that you've used up during the workout, we can just use the jelly babies like a really quick go-to option to replenish those glycogen stores. And I'm not saying it's ideal, I'm not saying that's perfect, but there's ways that we can use that. So before a session for really great energy levels, and also to replenish those glycogen stores after a workout as well.
Would fruit work kind of in a very similar sense? Is fruit a more simple sugar is that why it gets maybe such
Yeah, exactly. So this is the thing, right? So people say like sugar's bad for you, therefore the sugar in fruit, therefore fruit's bad for you, and it doesn't really work like that at all. So yes, things like orange juice, apple juices, smoothies, and things like that, they can be quite rapidly absorbed in our digestive system in a nutshell. So if you had let's say for example, an hour before a workout, you could have some, let's say some toast or porridge with a glass of orange juice. That's going to be quite quickly digested, the orange juice. So that, it's not a bad thing. It's not, it's not an issue at all. Providing you place that nutrition in and around that workout at the right time, it can actually go to enhance your workout because you're using that sugar up anyway. So you get what I mean? That's like your body's preferred source of energy. So you're using your glycogen stores as well as the sugars that are circulating in your bloodstream at the same time too during the workout. If you can time that maybe half an hour before, you're going to have plenty of those sugars in your bloodstream, but it's okay because they're getting used up during the session. Having said that, just a little asterisk here. If you're sat there having a can of Coke watching Love Island, just bear in mind that you are not using that sugar up at all. Yeah. That's just circulating around your bloodstream as a one-off every now and again. It's not going to do anything at all. It's just a habit. It's a regular thing that can actually have potentially further down the line detrimental effects to your health and things. So that's the reason why sugar gets a bad rap, because it's not used properly by most people, I think. And probably
so that kind of brings you on to the next thing was kind of just you remind me of something like if you are in a calorie deficit but your sugar stores are full and you eat sugar, would that mean that you're just going to, obviously you don't need that sugar in the muscle or the liver, so you just store it as fat?
That's correct, but at the same time it's a bit like how can I put this to make it so that's correct and incorrect at the exact same time. So over a short scale of time, that's correct. So yes, it will contribute to further any additional sugars and any additional calories on a particular day are going to go towards storage, as body fat essentially. Now, I'm not interested in what happens with your body over a day, because a day is such a short space of time. I'm not interested. In the same sense that, let's say, if you were trying to save up £100 over the month or something in your bank account, who cares what happens on Tuesday with the money? We don't care about that. We need to know what happens over the course of the month, once everything's gone in and out, and what's left. That's how you work out how much you save each month, of course.
Yeah.
Money. It's the exact same, but in reverse, basically, with weight loss. So today, I've just had, let's say, a little protein shake here. Maybe my calories are a little bit over today. Maybe the sugar intakes are a little bit high today. Maybe I've already got fully topped up sugar stores and I'm good to go. Maybe that will be converted to fat a little bit. But it's not of any interest to me, because I know over the course of 7 days or more that I'll be in a calorie deficit. So that's going to, let's say if we're in a deficit, 500 calories per day on average over the course of the week. Happy days, we're going to lose that, a full pound of body weight basically by the end of the week. So what happens day to day, the fluctuations day to day, that's almost like noise. That's not, you don't need that to be interested in that. What you need to be interested in the results is the longer period of time and staying consistent over time. So it's, as you can see, it's sort of correct, but it's sort of incorrect as well for our purposes results.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's kind of like if you top up the sugar store, but you're still maintaining that calorie deficit, well, the calorie deficit is going to draw the balance of the sugar anyway, so you're going to end up overall in a sugar deficit, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely right. 100%.
That's really cool. Yeah, so the next one I was going to say is maybe we could go to overeating and emotional eating. So kind of, you know, people, they use food as comfort, kind of as a crutch, or maybe it's all they kind of look forward to. It's food is their thing. But at the same time, they're not where they want to be physically, or they've got some fitness goals that it's getting in the way of. How would someone go about maybe?
I think this is such a multifaceted thing. There's going to be like potentially like a million variables here.
Yeah, fair enough.
Create that outcome, but at the same time, there's definitely bits and pieces we can discuss. So you've just got to think if your nutrition is not where it needs to be right now. Let's say, for example, you're under consuming. So you're just thinking weight loss in your head, and that's all you want to do. I just want to lose the bloody weight and get rid of it as soon as physically possible. I understand the frustration side of that, and I understand how you just want to get out of this current situation to get to the ideal situation as soon as possible. Now, sometimes as a result of that, people over-restrict, and if you're over-restricting, you're going to be hungry a lot more, you're going to be low on energy, you're not going to be recovering after your sessions as efficiently as you could do. So then it gets to Monday session, you feel okay, bit groggy, but not too bad. Gets to Wednesday, you're just not recovering right, you have a terrible session. Gets to Friday, you think, I don't even want to turn up on Friday. And this could genuinely be because you've been too restricted with your energy intakes. So if you feel crap and you feel rubbish and you're low on energy, you're hungry all the time, of course it's a natural human instinct to think, I just want to reach for the cupboard and eat absolutely everything in sight. I feel like rubbish.
Yeah.
What we've got to do is find that sort of sweet spot, if you like, where you're not that hungry that you're just like pulling your hair out and wanting to throw the towel in and just like have a truckload of Haribo or something or whatever. But at the same time, we can't just be like having the amount of calories that if weight loss is your thing, of course, the amount of calories is not going to yield a result over a period of time as well. So there's a sweet spot to be had there, and everybody's sweet spot is different. So for me, even though I'm a nutritionist and I've got all the strategies in the world, if I restrict myself slightly, I know about it. I know that I'm in a calorie deficit. I get rumblings to it very, very easily. And I have to work quite hard to make sure that I'm not sort of tempted as a human. I'm a nutritionist, but I'm a human too, with the same responses as everybody else, of course. It's not just, do you know what? I just don't care. I've worked so hard. I'm so hungry, low on energy. I'm just going to have that pizza on Friday. And that's it. I'm throwing it all in, forgetting about it for a day. Whereas that might not be the best thing for results. So that's me. Whereas other people, we've had clients in the past that have lost 2 pounds per week, and they've literally just done that for 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks in a row, lost the weight, and they're just it's not that much of an issue as long as I eat the right things. So like we said earlier on, the slower digesting carbohydrates. If you just think, you spend 130, 40 calories on a can of Coke, is that making you feel full? Of course not. It's going to be digested within minutes. Whereas if you have 130, 40 calories, let's say something like, I don't know if I've posted this in the group before, but like a snack like Rivita with cottage cheese and maybe a bit of sweet soy sauce just to make it taste nice. It's so high in protein and so high in fiber, and those two things working together for the same calories as what I've just described with the Coke. It's going to contribute a lot more with those calories because those calories have been sort of spent well. If that makes sense. So people can have the same amount of calories, maybe the wrong choices, but it leads them to overeating and emotional eating and things like that. I think on a separate note as well, we have to really sort of get to know ourselves. I don't want to go too deep here as well, but at the same time, I think it's really important that we understand how our body works and how we interact with food and nutrition. So for me, I use pizza as an example. So there's no way on God's earth that I'm going to see a pizza and have one slice and leave the other 9. It's just never, ever going to happen. And I know this. Whether Shane, that's right, Shane, that's wrong. Shane, you're a nutritionist, should it really be the case? I don't care. I'm going to completely put everything on the table and be honest about this. It's not going to happen. So I know I'm like I call it like a Pringle type person. What you pop, you can't stop.
I was literally talking about that today. Yeah, this is
psychic. So you just got to think if you know you're that type of person, don't try and have a slice of pizza every week because you can end up having a full pizza every week.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Whereas, let's say, for example, what I like to do is let's say, for example, if I wanted to lose weight for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be super focused and have like 1 week where I go, do you know what? I'm not going to lose weight this week. That's not my agenda. And I place myself in like a little bit of a diet break, if you like. So, there's benefits there as well, recovery purposes and muscular growth and other things. So, every 5 weeks or 4 weeks, we match our calorie intake. So we're in like a maintenance phase. We're not in a calorie deficit. We're just maintaining so that we don't lose or gain weight. And that gives me an extra 500 calories per day to use for that week. So I could go, okay, then I'm gonna consume the same. But when it gets to the weekend, I've got 3,500 calories to put, maybe not that much, but like on a pizza or something. So you get where I'm coming from. So,
Sounds like you're banking your calories.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can literally have your cake and eat it, and have the resultant, or your pizza and eat it in that case.
Do you reckon that's why kind of intermittent fasting is effective? Because it's kind of like most people wouldn't be able to come close to eating that kind of amount of food. So, they can kind of stuff themselves and still maintain a calorie deficit.
Yeah, definitely. And again, the frustrating thing in a lot of questions with nutrition is it depends. But, it depends on, let's say, there's loads of different types of intermittent fasting. Some people don't eat before 12 and they only eat between 12 and 6. And it's very difficult to cram a whole, 4,000 calories into 5 or 6 hours. It's very difficult to do that. So therefore, because it's difficult to do that and it's difficult to not be in a calorie deficit, you lose weight. Some people do it over the course of the week. And it's not intermittent fasting over the days, it's over the whole week. So they might try a 5-2 approach, for example. So that might mean, Monday to Friday, they have literally whatever they want to eat. And then Saturday and Sunday, they literally restrict themselves to a couple hundred calories per day. So it's very, very restrictive on 2 days and have what you want on the 5 days. But like we said earlier, the calories over the week, it's still a calorie deficit overall. So again, it really does depend. I'm actually quite, although I said earlier, I get hunger quite easily. Also, the side note there is I'm quite good at coping with hunger. It doesn't bother me that much, if that makes sense. So if I might be quite good at intermittent fasting, I don't do that because I want to make sure I get protein intake every day, more so than anything. Having my fiber day taken care of as well. And if we're not eating, it's very difficult to do that. So that it wouldn't be a good solution for me overall. But maybe if I did follow that path, it'd be a good solution for me on the intermittent fasting side, because doing a 5-2 diet. To cope with the hunger levels on the fasting days better.
Sorry, you broke up there just on that last piece. Sorry, bud.
It's okay, no worries. So that might be a good thing for me, for example, to actually try intermittent fasting and be able to cope with those fasting days much better. But for somebody else, they'd literally be 3 hours in and pulling their hair out.
Yeah. So it really depends.
Yeah, it really does depend. But
is it true that ghrelin is a timed hormone? So it's kind of like for me, I noticed I experimented with intermittent fasting, and I thought it was very effective, especially the more that I got into it, because the more I got into it, the less hungry I actually was, because I was developing either maybe not a tolerance for ghrelin, but maybe ghrelin stopped spiking as regularly.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you... This is the thing. So I watch a lot of things like like The Island with Bear Grylls and stuff like that. And if you notice, what happens is, obviously in the first day, people go absolutely mental because they've got no food. There's nothing to eat. So, and we're not used to that. So your hormonal responses are accustomed to your normal day-to-day living environment, and it all falls into place essentially in a nutshell. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but in a nutshell, it falls into place quite easily in around your day-to-day life. If you sort of, completely shock that habit and that day-to-day life by saying, right, I'm not going to eat for 2 days, your body's going to go mental and think there's something wrong, because this is literally what we're designed to do historically over millennia. For us to not have hunger would be a very, very poor survival mechanism. If you're not getting hungry and not getting the right amount of calories at the same time, your whole family's going to die very soon, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously, not today. It's very different. You can get, a pizza delivered within 3 seconds or whatever these days. And again, another reason why there's so many, problems with being overweight and obese and all the diet-related things these days. But yeah, so you can, that settles down. So if you look at like K2 and K3, the hunger's still there, but they're not like pulling their hair out like the first time and the first day when it first initially happened. So yeah, it can settle down without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, so it's kind of like there is a certain amount of calories that you would need to survive, and the problem is that people's hunger signals don't actually match up properly with, you know, what they actually need. It's just, you know, what they're used to.
Yeah, if you just think about that, like your body works on an hour by hour basis, or a minute, second by second basis. So if let's say your body is used to having 3 meals a day, and then you go from that to having 0 meals tomorrow, well, it's okay, because mentally up here you're like, well, it doesn't matter because we're having a meal on Sunday. Like, don't worry about not having a meal Saturday. We're having another on Sunday. This is just a fasting day. So logically it makes sense, but your body doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So your body's going to tell you, like, you need food immediately. We're going to start the stomach rumbling, start the craving, start reaching for snacks, trying everything it possibly can to get to keep you alive, basically. You know, your body's still in survival mode at all times. Like, don't forget that.
It's very funny that, like, because I think that's what really an awful lot of people struggle with is that disconnect between, you know, what you want and what your body is signaling to you. Is like that so many people, they try a diet, and as soon as they come away from what their old habits and old routines was around eating, that they literally, like, they just get all the old signals just rush back in, and they're overwhelmed, and then they buckle under the pressure and kind of end up back where they were.
Exactly. And again, like, this ties in nicely with what I said earlier on about, you know, being a Pringle person and understanding how you as a person mentally functions in and around food, and what your relationships are like, and et cetera, because, you know, what I like to do is if let's say, I don't know, let's say I had meetings all day long and I'd literally genuinely as a one-off didn't have time to eat, my stomach's going to be rumbling. It's going to be trying to do everything, it's, like we said a minute ago, everything it can to get me to eat as soon as possible. It's used to having something to eat between 11 and 1-ish, give or take, and that's what my body's used to. So if I skip a meal, it's going to start sending off all those signals. But for me, I almost like to visualize myself as like in a helicopter, like hovering above the situation. So I'm just assessing what's going on. I'm not like involved with it, if that makes sense. I'm aware of what my body's trying to do. Nobody's going to die. Your body's trying to make you feel that way, but nobody's going to die from missing their, you know, chicken sandwich or whatever it is that you should have had for lunch that day. You know, you'll be absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with skipping a meal every now and again, or being caught short and thinking, I've not got anything to eat today or whatever, and just wait for your evening meal. Or, you know, having like an intermittent fasting approach, if that's what you want to do. It's not bad, it's not naughty, there's nothing wrong with it at all in any way. It's just that obviously, if it's over a very long period of time, then, you know, you lose a lot of weight dramatically and don't get micronutrients and things like that. So, you know, for health long term, it might not be the best thing to do, but as a one-off, a meal a day doesn't really have any significant negative impact at all, really.
Yeah, and kind of some people really do take things to an extreme, and it is that thing. It's like everything really should be, you know, you're trying to find the balance with it. You know, it's like if you take any kind of diet and approach too extreme, it's like you're going to end up lacking in some way or another.
Yeah, totally agree. And you know what I always say is, you know, there's certain scientific, unfortunately boring, but underpinning principles that dictate your success or your you know, not failure, but, you know, the rate in which you achieve your goal. You know, and you have to tick those boxes. It doesn't matter what approach you take. You have to tick those boxes. So let's say, for example, energy balance for weight loss. It doesn't matter if you go low carb, keto, fruitarian, intermittent fasting, tracking, portion control, like low carb, high carb, high fat, low fat. It doesn't matter. You have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. So the way I always say it is like, you know, if you just think about people getting to work or getting to the gym today, everybody's got to travel along the same road. Everybody, you know, you can't take a different road and end up where your gym is right now. But the vehicle that people wish to take to get from A to B is entirely up to you and your personal preference. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
So it's not as though this guy is correct and that one's wrong. It's just this one's more appropriate for you than it is for me, and vice versa. Happy days, like that's all it is. But we're still both in calorie deficit to lose weight.
Yeah.
That's it. The scientific underpinning principles have to be ticked. And from there, you know, it's down to personal preference more often than not, really. So yeah, if you take anything to an extreme, you do intermittent fasting, but have like 5 days fasting and 2 days eating, of course you're going to be, it doesn't really matter who you are, you're going to be incredibly stressed and annoyed and low on energy very, very, a lot of the time,
Just while we're on, I suppose we might as well go down that road. What are the apart from weight loss, obviously, the benefits to fasting, if any, or what would the risks be, if any?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, it's not like I'm definitely not an expert in that area, but I have like watched different programs where different inflammatory markers. So basically, if there's like a problem with your body, we've got loads of these like inflammatory markers, like there's loads and loads and loads of them. And if those like inflammatory markers are present, generally speaking, there might be something wrong. And what I'm referring to, so I did a workout this morning, and we were just doing like a 200 meter run and back, and doing something else, and then a 100 meter run back. I've actually pulled my calf muscle this morning, so I'll have inflammatory markers. It just popped like in a second, and I was pull up to the side. I'm very, very annoyed about one of those things. But anyway, if you tested my bloodstream now, it would have inflammatory markers that are related to that specific part of the body, like the muscle tissue, etc., because that's what the body does. It becomes inflamed as a protective mechanism. And it's the same with, with illness. It's the same with disease. It's the same with other, really sort of short-term health problems and things like that. You get lots of inflammatory markers as a result of those things. So when you have something like, intermittent fasting, when you fast, a lot of these markers seem to be improved within the research. So it seems to be improved. We don't know enough about that because, like we said, there's like so many different types of intermittent fasting to begin with. So what do? You test 50 different types of it. Not 50, but let's say 10.
Yeah.
And take a look at the data for each one, and also, how do you test to see if intermittent fasting can potentially help you with a common cold? You have to have a common cold first to be able to be appropriate for that study. So so you've got to wait for something. So to test that is like a difficult thing. But at the same time, it has been shown that there are health markers, such as inflammatory markers, that are actually reduced as a result of intermittent fasting as well. So it can have definite benefit health.
Why would that be, if you have any idea? Like what would cause from not eating, from things?
I think it's more from like an evolutionary point of view. So we're as strange as it sounds, we're not designed to be overfed and overfeeding. So you're going to have all these inflammatory markers. So if you're overweight or your body composition's not right, well, that just wouldn't really have existed like thousands of years ago, unless you're like the best farmer in Europe or something like that, and you just had all this stuff like readily available or whatever. But you've just got to think like it was completely normal. That was a healthy way to live, like to be skipping a meal every now and again and to be fasting every now and again. So, I think as a result of that, and then versus what we've got today, we've got all these processed foods, convenience foods, takeaways, things like that aren't necessarily the best foods for us. Of course, we're going to have higher, inflammation markers. Of course we are. It's going to be completely normal to have that. And then if you do something like intermittent fasting, which sort of in a way takes you back to what we did historically, then, that's only going to be a good thing. It probably will reduce those inflammation markers as a result of that. Again, that's my interpretation of it. I have to really take a look at the research and really like have a look. Quite a complex area that needs more investigation, definitely.
Yeah, it's really interesting though.
It's fascinating, absolutely. And people go through day-to-day life and just think, it's Friday. What we having to eat with the family? Nobody really investigates like why have I got these mechanisms in place? What's the reason for that over the last 3,000 years?
Yeah.
It's obviously not on the tip of anybody's tongue really on a day-to-day basis, and understandably so. But it's fascinating how we've evolved and how we've developed, and how over, I think it's the last, I'm sure, between 50 and 80 years, that's the biggest transformation in people's diets in the whole of human history, because we didn't have fridges back then to preserve food. So if you've got a fridge, you can eat more of certain foods because it can be preserved. We didn't have freezers, we didn't have microwaves, we didn't have ovens, we didn't have etc. So, the only types of foods we had were either fresh foods or stuff you could cook on fire. That's it. Whereas nowadays we've got that many mod cons and like a guy on a delivery bike giving you a takeaway pizza or whatever. There's so many things, and as humans, that's just not what we're used to over millennia. So it can be massive changes as a result.
Do you reckon that that's causing any harm, kind of, preserving food, and so actually would be, again, not to put you on the spot too much, but kind of, food preservatives or ready-made meals, I know are becoming awful popular. And then the next one, just because you mentioned there, would be obviously heating them up meals in the microwave, because I know the microwave gets an awful bad shtick.
Yeah, definitely, and again, it goes to the it depends, but at the same time, I think certain bits and pieces. So let's say, for example, sweeteners. That's just not something we would have eaten in any way, shape, or form historically. Whereas today, that I don't know, I've not checked this protein shake. Maybe that's got sweeteners in it. Maybe obviously cans of Coke and things like that have sweeteners in it. Some of the there's lots of different types of sweeteners, but one of the popular ones used in things like fizzy drinks is aspartame, and that's something that's had massive negative publicity over recent years. Now, the reason why is because certain people in certain categories under certain circumstances can have really poor health problems with that. So it's only those people that fit that criteria, though, that would have those health problems. So for the general public, I can never remember the bloody number, but it's something ridiculous regardless, like 20 cans of you have to be having per day to have any negative effects from the levels of aspartame in like a can of Coke. Like, who's going to be getting anywhere close to that?
I know a few people.
What, 20 a day?
Literally, I know someone who literally drinks like 12, 13 a day. I mean,
oh man, Jesus!
It's not 20. What?
Yeah, but yeah, they're doing a good job of getting close to that threshold for sure. But again, even once you hit that threshold, what happens then? Is there do you have a heart attack? Do you what is the actual negative consequence? Yeah. We don't really know, because that level is incredibly difficult to reach. However, people with different health conditions already, yes, they might be a lot more susceptible, more sensitive to things like that. But it's the same for my brother-in-law. He can't have blue food colouring. It brings him out in a rash. He has to go to hospital straight away. So we would never have had food colouring. So when you say is this potentially giving us harm? Yes, for certain people. But I just think, again, I truly believe that the common sense and basic nutrition guidance trumps all of that. So if you're having a pizza once a month, like we said earlier on, your body's well equipped to deal with all of that. That's not an issue at all. It's not going to cause you any health consequences. Or if you're, I know guys up in Scotland, I've got friends up in Scotland, they absolutely love a battered Mars bar for some unforeseen reason. Every now and again, if they're having one of those a month, I don't really care as a nutritionist. If you do that, if you love it, that's fantastic. If you tested your blood sugar and your blood, fats, circulating fats, and also salt intakes and things within that short space of time, yes, it wouldn't look very good. But the negative effects are nothing really, because it's only happening once every month. Whereas people are having 14 cans a day, that's something that really does definitely need to be nipped in the bud. You overconsume on anything, even good foods like apples or something. You're still having too much sugar. It doesn't matter that it's a fruit and it's got loads of vitamins in it and good stuff. Still overconsuming on fruit. It doesn't matter if it's bacon or something. Excellent source of protein. You have loads and loads of bacon every single day, but actually it's quite salty, it's quite fatty, so you're probably going to be going over on those things. So that boring word, moderation, and that sort of rectifies a lot of those problems. But I know it's very tricky these days to overcome that, really, especially if you've been brought up with that. We've obviously got families that have been brought up with convenience foods and takeaway foods. I wasn't really. My mum and dad cooked, it wasn't quite a big thing, convenience foods, when I was growing up. So they cooked the majority of things. Whereas maybe the kids that are in the same year group as my little baby boy, when they grow up, they've got Deliveroo and Uber Eats, and they could be in a playground and get fries probably. I don't know. So all of this stuff it's new and changes all the time. So we need to keep on top of it, definitely. Those big companies, they just want profits. Don't forget that.
Yeah, so it's probably, as with anything, it's about the quality of the food.
Yeah, without any shadow of a doubt. And also, even if it is poor nutrition quality, doesn't necessarily label it as bad. It doesn't. It just means the frequency needs to reduce. That's it.
Yeah, perfect, exactly.
And you're still good. So, like we said, I want you to have your cake or pizza and eat it. Right?
Same. This is it. I always say get away with as much as you can, but obviously, look, you have to do the necessary work because biology plays a factor, your activity levels play a factor, and it is a case like, you know, where are you going? For talk's sake, if you're looking to build a little bit of lean mass, you're obviously in a period of your life where, you know, you could probably overeat a little bit and still manage to get away with it. But if you're looking to cut calories and lose body fats, like that's just not the time in your life where overeating is gonna be productive. And look, that's just where you are right now. It's not necessarily, as I said, overall the big picture where you have to be forever. Just because, you know, you used to be overweight doesn't mean you have to be so restrictive your entire life. It just means that right now you're in a period where that's just what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, and you know, on that note as well, you know, let's say, for example, you mentioned people that are wanting to lose weight. This is why nutrition is absolutely critical, and it's a strange thing for certain people to think like it's an optional thing. I'll just eat what I want and go down to the gym and burn it off. Like that type of mentality. It's so that, you know, the playing field's like that, where it's not level. It's literally like that in favor of nutrition. So when it comes to, let's say, you know, the guys go to the gym, they come and do a session with Brandon, obviously, you know, absolutely class workout, I've no doubt. And, you know, let's say they're doing off like 500 calories roughly in that session, maybe 400, maybe 600, there's loads of variables to take into consideration, but just for ease of maths, we'll use that as a figure. Let's say they do that 4 times a week and they burned off 2,000 calories. Like you could be consuming 3,000 or 4,000 calories if you're really not doing that well a day, not a week. Like per day. So the amount of, you know, this has literally been identified in the research itself, in published research, like the amount of sway results-wise that nutrition has over exercise from a weight loss and calorie restriction point of view is like staggering. It's, you know, it pulls apart. Having said that, exercise is not therefore like something to miss out. It's just as important, absolutely identically important. Because obviously for body composition reasons, you don't want to lose weight and then not feel good and confident and not be like toned and lean and like be good and confident. You know, a lot of people lose weight and just literally create a calorie deficit and don't train, and then they're still not happy with how they look.
Yeah.
You know, so the training is absolutely crucial in so many respects. But then,
I always say to the guys when we're kind of building a calorie plan for them. So obviously, look, if I get somebody's BMR and I just find out what they are as a couch potato, I'm like, okay, so you'll burn 1,600 calories if you literally don't move, and over the course of the week, that's, you know, how many calories. Exactly, yeah. So it's like if that's your calorie equation, it's like, well, there's 2 ways that we can make a deficit. You know, it's like one is going to be doing what you do, living your life as you're living now, and restrict your diet, or we can just increase your activity levels.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's the easy win there, really. You know, it's like go for a walk. Your neat, your non-exercise activity will make up a massive amount of calories, and then outside of that, then it's your gym sessions, and it's like that's the window. Like, but most people want to restrict food straight away, as opposed to it's like let's just add our overall output instead of reducing our intake. You know, and that way you can have your cake and eat it too, and then I suppose it's, you know, restricting sugar and adding microvitamins and minerals and then your macros and all that.
Definitely. And it sounds silly, but, you know, obviously the line of work that I'm in, obviously it's like to do with health and nutrition and weight loss and all that sort of stuff, but like I do things like this quite a lot. So I'm sat at a desk, I'm not moving now.
Yeah.
So I have to think about this a lot. And, you know, we're just, you know, so I've got like set targets to meet every day. I don't do it every single day of the week. It's probably impossible to do that and have, you know, to attend to the things that I need to attend, wise and things. But at the same time, you know, just the weekend, I think, you know, I'm going to go on a 2-hour walk with the dogs instead of 45 minutes. Like, so it's just a balancing act.
It's the same thing as your calories in, calories out over the course of the week. That's what matters, not really day to day.
Yeah, exactly. And this is again, going back to what we said earlier on the emotional eating side of things. Some people have like a Mars bar and just think like, oh, everything's out the window. I'm off the wagon now, like whatever that means. And you're not at all. You're only off the wagon if you let yourself go on that kind of spiral for the next 4 days. The Mars bar is not a problem at all. It's 200 calories, whatever it is, off the top of my head, 250, whatever it is.
I suppose when we did the precision nutrition course, an awful lot of it was focused around, I suppose, developing a healthy mindset around it, because so many people kind of have this negative shake your head on or off mindset, and it's like, as I said, it's like that diet is on and I switched it off, so now it's off completely, and it's not that at all. It's a spectrum. And I suppose, like, for me, there's rarely a thing that I do that I don't, talk mindset. And it's just kind of like, it's like, we need to start. And obviously, look, what you said there, I mean, it seems so obvious, but it's really not. It's like, just because you did have that Mars bar, that does not ruin it. If you don't have the information to know that, it's like, genuinely, that does not ruin it. And it's so important to kind of have these conversations and talk about, it's like, look, as I said, that overall picture of your week is what matters. Don't shake your head. Pick yourself back up. Keep trying. Keep doing what you're doing. We all fall down. We all make mistakes. As I said, look, it's very easy to say, I see myself as a helicopter and I see myself, but every once in a while you get pulled down into the trenches and you're down there in the emotions. It's like, and we would like to, always get out of the war and back up to the helicopter. But as I said, look, you're going to be on the ground sometimes. You're going to get pulled into the wars and the battles, but we want to come back away. And as I said, just get the overall picture and have a calm look at how things are going.
Yeah, definitely. And again, if you want to take a really long overview of it, don't think over the week. If you think over a year, like 52 weeks, let's say 10% of the time, like you just didn't, you didn't get results at all. You just maintained. So let's say you had an extra 500 calories every day of those weeks, and 10% of the year you did that. So that's like, just over 5 weeks of the year. Like 5 weeks of just not getting results, and obviously when you're in that particular week, you're losing your mind. Like, I can't believe I've been so naughty. It doesn't matter. It's not £1 for the rest of those weeks. £1, you've lost 48 pounds this year.
It's the big thing we keep saying to people. Like £1. Like, I know a very rare person who, if they lost £1 a week for a year, not that they'd be way better, they'd be done, like, and would run out of pounds to lose.
Yeah.
Like,
there'd be no body fat left.
Yeah, this is like honestly, it's like some people have 50 pounds, 100 pounds to lose, but it's like, that's a rare person. It's like, for most people, £1 a week for 12 weeks, and you are pretty much done. It's like, and then some people,
in the process.
This is it, yeah.
That's the thing. You can lose £2-3 pounds a week. You can go for that if you wish, but again, less calories, less energy, less food, more hunger, more. There's all these factors to be taken into consideration. So, like you said, £1 a week. And
I know a girl, and she came here. She's actually a cousin of mine, and she's doing really, really well. And she was kind of she was like, oh look, I'm doing everything well. But she had one or two parties. She wouldn't drink too regularly, but she still managed to lose £1.5, £2 that week, and did that for the 2 occasions that it happened, because her 5 days were so solid.
Yeah.
When it came to them 2 days, and the hangover day, it was still a little bit him in hand. That wasn't perfect, but like still managed to come back and lose £1, £1.5, and it's like, that's the mindset that's going to go so far.
Like literally perfect, because you're getting the results and having the best life you want.
Exactly, yeah. Have your cake and eat it too, as you said.
How many times have we said that today, eh?
I want some cake now.
And pizza.
And some Pringles.
Yeah. And some drinks. It's Friday. I'm going to the pub.
Some protein. Don't forget protein.
That's okay. I've got that covered. Happy days.
Perfect. I think that'll do us for today. I mean, we've gone on now for about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah. We don't want anybody falling asleep at this stage.
Exactly, yeah. Till next time. Leave them wanting more.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm more than happy to jump on these on a regular basis over the months and things like that. And if people absolutely love these, and it's going to be a massive value and massive benefit to people, then it just makes no sense not to do these. So I look forward to doing a couple more with you and the rest of the team if they're available as well. It's been a pleasure, buddy.
All right, Shane. Catch you next one.
Take care. All the best.